So, my husband and I had been married for about a year, and we had been planning to wait to have kids, I think for, I don't know, like another 5 or 7 years, something like that. Just because I was still finishing my degree and wishes to get my master's degree in dietetics. But however, the summer before my last semester of college, I found out I was pregnant 1 year into marriage, which I guess we did have a year under our belt, which was nice. Mm-hmm. But anyways, this was in July, and my husband happened to be away on a river rafting trip. And I was so overwhelmed with joy. I had to tell someone, but I couldn't. I felt like I couldn't tell any of my family members because I hadn't told my husband yet. Uh-huh. So I told all of my coworkers. And you and I worked together. So, I mean, I don't know if you were there yet at that point. But I was like, maybe Hope was one of the first.
That's so funny.
People. But anyway, so yeah, I told all my coworkers and I was just so excited. And I was writing notes just about thoughts that I was having to my husband, just to share it when he got back. So, and he was only gone for like a week. So I did get to tell him pretty early, but I was just so shocked and so surprised. And I thought I would I think that the fear kind of did set in a little bit, but initially I think I was just so overwhelmed with joy. I mean, it's something you dream about since you're little, being a mom. And so, and just like your first experience is so amazing, and it's just your first time, you know? So, anyways, I had a pretty uneventful pregnancy, other than at about 10 weeks, I had a subchorionic hemorrhage, which was scary. I was at work, and you might have been working that day, I don't know, but I had it was just like a ton of blood just like gushed out while I was at the register.
Oh, wow.
I just felt like a flick. I didn't really feel any sort of like cramping or anything. And it was a lot, like more than I was used to. And so I thought that I had started to miscarry. And I hadn't had any sort of initial ultrasound or anything yet. So I just didn't really know, what was going to happen. And, it turned out to be pretty benign. I think we got our first ultrasound a few days later and everything was fine. And they kind of told me what happened. Apparently that's something that can happen.
What is a subchorionic hemorrhage? I don't even know.
That's a great question. And I probably need to get more like of the medical terminology, but it's just something that can happen early on in pregnancy. I think it can happen from injury, but most of the time there's an unknown cause, and it's just this benign bleeding that happens. Yeah. So subchorionic, I'm trying to remember exactly what that means, but you should look it up. It's super benign most of the time, and a lot of people don't even experience the bleeding. They do internally, and you can see it on an ultrasound, but it'll get reabsorbed kind of thing. So yeah, interesting and random and benign, but I want to say it happens to like 10% of people or something like that. Don't quote me on that. It might be more or less than that, but something like that, not pretty common, but I have heard of it a couple times since. Anyways, thankfully everything was fine, and we found out we were having a boy. I was able to stay pretty active during my pregnancy. I think I did experience a little bit of nausea during the first trimester and just like that first trimester exhaustion. And then later on, I did have a little bit of iron deficiency kind of towards my third trimester, which was a bummer. But I ended up doing some iron infusions, and that was amazing. It was like night and day. The levels of energy I was experiencing afterwards was amazing. But yeah, those are expensive. If you need them, get them, but they're very expensive. I think there's a lot you can do preventatively ahead of time that I'll be thinking about for next time. But anyways, obviously Wesley was a surprise, so wasn't really thinking about that. Yeah, so let's see. 38 weeks rolls around. I'm having a little bit of Braxton Hicks, starting to dilate a little bit. I had gotten my first cervical check. I think at like 38 weeks, I was at like a 1 centimeter. Then I think 39 weeks, I was at a 2. And then my 40-week appointment comes and I'm at like a 3. So I'm kind of just, slowly dilating, which was kind of interesting too, because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really know that you can do that without consistent contractions or yeah. So that was interesting. And I think that following or the weekend before my 40-week appointment, I started to lose my mucus plug a little bit. And so I kind of knew, I was kind of thinking that labor could be close. So yeah. And my sister was coming out to visit. So I did start all like kind of like natural induction things because I didn't want to be like medically induced, but I was really hoping to have my baby when my sister was here just to help. She happens to be a labor and delivery nurse too. So I was really excited to have her come, and I was hoping to have her there for the birth and to just like the week after postpartum, just to hang out with her. And yeah, let's see. Yeah, so I had done like the raspberry leaf tea and the dates. I had been going to my chiropractor and curb walking and all the things that you do. And so at 40 weeks, I did get a membrane sweep at 40 weeks at my 40-week appointment. And I remember them saying I was 3 centimeters and like 90% effaced, and I kind of felt like labor was near anyways. Hindsight, I maybe wouldn't have done that the more that I've learned about membrane sweeps, but it ended up being not a big deal for me. And I actually did go into labor the next day.
Oh, wow.
So it did work for me, but I know that's not always the case. I don't know if I'd make the same decision if I could go back. But anyways, so yes, I got a membrane sweep. I remember I did some curb walking that day. I think I was exactly 40 weeks this day. At least our 40-week guess,
Mm-hmm.
I was doing circles on the yoga ball. I spent some time relaxing, and I remember kind of being like a little bit crampy that day, which can be normal with a membrane sweep. It doesn't always mean that you'll go into full-blown labor. And it was kind of cramping off and on all day. And yeah, and then they kind of went away towards the evening. But I remember that night I woke up at 2 a.m. to like some more like consistent like period cramp like feeling. And I couldn't sleep. I know they say you need to go back to sleep if you feel like you're in early labor, because for first time moms, it can go so long. And so I really, really tried. But I just couldn't. But I wasn't ready to wake up my husband quite yet because I wanted him to be available when I needed him. So I was hoping he would get some sleep. So I got in the bathtub, which really helped me to relax. And sometimes when you're really relaxed, that can push you even further into labor, which that's what happened for me. So I quickly became very comfortable and then quickly very uncomfortable. So I got out of the bath. And I woke up my husband and I called my sister, who at this point it's like 4, maybe sometime between 3 and 4 a.m. And she was supposed to be on a plane the next day. I called her to let her know. I'm like, hey, I'm in early labor. Yeah. And I think I was starting to get a little bit panicky at this point, just not knowing like, wow, this just started and I'm getting a little nervous and I don't know if I can do this. So yeah, anyways, I woke up my husband. He started with the hip squeezes, which were so good. They help so much. And I called my doula, And she said to let her know when my contractions were getting a little bit more intense and closer together. And they did pretty fast. Around 4 a.m., we started to pack our bags to leave for the hospital. I just kind of knew it was time. Things had picked up a lot faster than I thought they would. Let's see. And at this point, I'm really needing to breathe through contractions, and my husband is just continuing with that counter pressure. I think it took us like an hour to get out of the house because I was having contractions pretty close together, and he was just kind of going back and forth between like packing and then like doing the hip squeezes. So it took us a little bit of time. We had to like feed the dog and, take care of just the things that need to be taken care of before you leave your house. So yeah, we were kind of doing this dance like back and forth. And then we arrive at the hospital around 5:15 a.m. So this is, so I had the membrane sleep the day before. Now I'm 40 weeks and 1 day. And I get checked and I'm 8 centimeters already, which was so encouraging in this case and a huge relief to me because I like I said, I had been panicking a little bit earlier and not sure. I kind of thought I was in early labor and I didn't realize I was in like full active, the full-blown real deal active labor. And so my doula met me at the hospital. I don't think I had really gone through transition yet, though because I was still talking in between contractions and I was still happy and excited in between contractions. But shortly after I did start to go through transition and I just became more restful in between contractions, wanting the lights low, and the noise low. I was just trying to stay in this kind of like meditative state. I love, shout out to Christian Hypnobirthing app. I love their like meditative hypnobirthing tracks. There's so many good ones out there. I used hers and they were so amazing to just kind of get your mind, set on the right things and just breathing through those contractions. It was super helpful for me. The counter pressure, we were continuing with that counter pressure, the hip squeezes, and I'm a physical touch person. So I always appreciate that stuff, but especially during my labor, my doula was like massaging my back in between contractions, which was so nice just to kind of help me relieve tension and relax and stay relaxed throughout the whole thing. And I'm a Christian, so when things started to intensify in those moments, and when you start to worry and freak out a little bit, I feel like everybody kind of like pulls from something outside of themselves, and for me that was God, and so I was really just like drawing my peace and my comfort from Him. So yeah, and I felt like that was helping me kind of just like stay grounded in those moments. Let's see. And then I think I started pushing around 8:30 a.m. Well, actually, one of the nurses came in and she checked me because I had been there, let's see, what is this, 4 hours, 3 hours? And she just kind of wanted to know how things were going. And so she checked me and she's like, oh, you're at a 10, baby's really low. And then my water broke. And I think that's always I always wonder if she hadn't checked me, if the baby would have been born in his water sac, just because I have heard that could happen. And my water hadn't broken up until that point. Who knows? But my water did break at that point, and then things got really, really intense. Just that the amount of pressure I was experiencing was very intense. But yeah, I think I pushed for about 40 minutes, and he was born at 9:10 a.m. And yeah, I'd been kind of moving around during my labor, and I remember specifically not wanting to push on my back. So I ended up delivering on my side. yeah, and I did have I had like a 2nd-degree tear, which was, it was okay. It honestly was not a big deal for me. I had a pretty smooth recovery, which was amazing. I think that's one of the benefits that I hear a lot for people going unmedicated, is that recovery seems to be a lot smoother and gentler, I think. Yeah, I had a lot of those like happy hormones after. I felt like I was just like high on birth hormones, I think for a week. And I maybe talked to one other person who's experienced this, but I was so happy. I couldn't sleep when my baby was sleeping for a whole week. I was like, what is wrong with me? And I was so tired too. I mean, like, I know I was tired, but I think I was just my heart was so full, and I'm like tearing up thinking about this. I just would stay up looking at him, and I should have been sleeping, but so anyways, I did kind of crash out at some point about a week later, and yeah, I got a little bit more tired and was able to sleep while he was sleeping, but I just think that's so funny. I'm like, wow, people don't tell you like just the joy and all the hormones that you experience. It's wild. It's like next level. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. So yeah, but overall, definitely the most empowering thing I've ever done in my life. I feel like I just tell everybody, all these moms, I'm like, this is like the coolest thing ever. Pregnancy, childbirth, no matter how you do it, is so amazing. And I think that for me, my natural birth really prepared me for the difficulty of motherhood. I really drew strength from that experience in those moments where you're so tired you can't even think, or it's hard to like form thoughts. Or I remember like even trying to read a book, I'm like reading the same sentence over and over again. I'm like, I can't comprehend what this is saying. I'm so tired. But just really in those moments where you're like, this is hard, drawing strength from just the experience of pregnancy and childbirth was so helpful for me, because I was like, man, I did that. I can do this. I've been built to do this, and I can do this. So yeah. Let's see if I had anything. But yeah, overall, it was just a beautiful and joyful experience. And I would recommend it to anyone who feels like they want to, or even if they want to, but they feel like they can't do it, you can do it. And it's the most amazing thing ever. So yeah, that's my birth story.
I love that.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about the delivery of the placenta?
Yes.
That's just a part I'm super interested in, but I feel like sometimes people skip over it. So I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah. And I know I've learned a lot about that and the differences between how that goes sometimes in home birth versus hospital birth. So yeah, I'm trying to think back. I want to say it was maybe 20-30 minutes. My provider, I'm trying to think, was kind of just talking to me about that, and I had the baby on my chest at this point, and he was like, okay, we want to get that placenta delivered soon. And I think he did do a little bit of a gentle cord traction, and I did like some pushing to try to get the placenta out, and it came out pretty smoothly. I want to say it was 30 minutes after. And that was so cool. I am also obsessed with, I feel like this is weird to say, but I think the placenta is so cool. It's so cool to see the thing that was nourishing your baby and protecting your baby your whole pregnancy and their home. Like, if sometimes providers will give you a little placenta tour, and they can show you like, this is where they lived in the sac. This is kind of where, and then too, like, depending on if you knew where your placenta was, if it was anterior versus posterior, you can kind of like picture where that was in your belly. And it's just really cool to put all those pieces together after they're born. So yeah. I didn't do anything with mine. I know that some people do like placenta encapsulation, or they're like bury it in their yard, or there's all kinds of cool things. I kind of wish I had taken it home just because I was so obsessed with it. I mean, this is so cool. Like, I didn't know what I would have done with it, but
Yeah.
it
You
was
just
neat.
put it in your freezer
Just-
and then it will
yeah.
stay in there for several years until you finally decide what to do with it.
Until you're like, wait, what is this? And you pull it out of your freezer.
Like, I need to clean out my freezer.
Yes. Oh my goodness. This is totally a tangent, but my aunt growing up would do that with they had so many pets that would always die. And they had always had like a dead bird in their freezer. Like anytime I would go over there, I'm like, what is this? And they're like, oh, we're just can't remember. We need to find a time to bury it. I'm like, okay. Anyways, that's a little tangent.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So can you tell me, why did you decide to have a natural unmedicated birth? Like, was that the plan from the beginning?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, okay, I'm trying to think about how many details I want to give. So, my whole life, I have really struggled with anxiety, and I felt like this was a really good opportunity for me to just trust my body, and in my case, trust God, that I could do this. I could do pregnancy. I could do childbirth. Also, not a big fan of needles. And I find myself a little bit more on the crunchy side of things anyway. So I kind of just felt like this really fit my personality. I'm one of those girls. I like to do hard things just to prove to myself that I can. And so I was like, yeah, I think I want to do this. I also really wanted to be able to feel my childbirth. Like, I wanted to be present, and I wanted to experience it and just be there, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, I read Ina May's Guide to Childbirth, which really radicalized me because I was on the fence, I think, a little bit. And then I read that and I was like, okay, everybody's got to do this. I've got to do this. I need this experience. This is so beautiful. We're built for this. This is amazing. And so, yeah, I did a lot of preparation. I listened to a lot of positive birth story podcasts like this one. I'm a podcast girly, so I love to have a podcast running at all points during the day or an audiobook. And so I really just filled my mind with positive real experiences too, but a lot of just like positive unmedicated births, home births, hospital births, all kinds, just to really familiarize myself with all of the ways that it can go, but just also to encourage my mind that, like, okay, you can do this. This is normal. People give birth every day. Women have been doing this since the beginning of time. Like, it's so amazing, but it's also just like so normal. So, yeah.
Do you have any advice, or do you have any tips for women who want to have an unmedicated birth, who are maybe worried about the pain? Or is there anything that you learned when you were preparing for a natural birth in regards to pain management?
Yeah, I feel like there's so much I could talk about there. I think preparing ahead of time was really helpful for me. Mindset is a really big thing. Preparing your mind, practicing deep breathing ahead of time so you have something to kind of go to in those moments during contractions. Chiropractic work, and I'm actually a doula now, so I've learned a lot. There are just so many things you can do, but especially making sure that you have a mobile pelvis. So whether that be, it can be as simple as just stretching and be really intuitive with it. But there's a lot of information online. Hiring a doula I cannot recommend enough. It was so helpful for me. I loved having a doula to just keep me grounded and give me ideas of positions to try, And counter pressure, she would try different counter pressures on me to see kind of what felt good and what helped with the pain management. And it really does. I didn't expect it to help that much, but I felt like the counter pressure in my experience really did curb a lot of the intensity of the contractions. And yeah, just really priming your body. I mean, there's little things, and you don't have to do any of these things, but I believe in the raspberry leaf tea and the dates and just, yeah, staying relaxed, stretching, and hiring a doula. Yeah.
Enough said.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to become a doula?
So after my experience, I was like, wow, I am obsessed with birth. That is the coolest thing. A lot like you. And I don't know, I think personality wise, I was like, that just kind of really struck my interest. But I knew that the timing wasn't great. I mean, I had just had a baby and I'm like, I'm not going to go start a job right now. But it was something that I had kind of had in the back of my mind as like a potential something I wanted to do in the future. And I had a few different people approach me who I didn't even tell I was interested in becoming a doula. And they told me that they thought I would be a really good doula because of whatever reason. And I felt like that was like confirmation that I had to do it. And so, yeah, I looked into getting my certification. And thankfully I have a lot of support, a lot of help. So I was really able to get those classes done. And I also just have a lot of, I've got connected with a lot of people in the area, a lot of moms, and I've been able to be a doula for a couple of my friends now. And I have some friends coming up who are giving birth, and it's so amazing. It's the best thing ever. It's so cool. I feel so honored to be part of that experience for people. And yeah, it definitely feels like a calling, you know? So
I feel like that sounds amazing. I would love to attend births in some capacity at some point. Is there anything you want to say about what you have experienced being in that space?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Just how was it for you witnessing those other women give birth?
Totally. My first one, it was like a mutual friend, and I had known her. She was a bit younger than me. We had gone to the same high school, but we weren't like close necessarily. We followed each other on social media, and we got connected in the most random way through my other friend who's a doula. And I told her, I was wanting to gain experience. I wanted to take some pro bono clients, and she was like, oh my goodness, I have the perfect person in mind. We didn't work out because I'm taking a trip, but I know she wants a doula. And so I connected with her. She was already 41 weeks. And so it was wild. She hadn't even delivered yet. And so we literally connected the next day. This was Sunday. We went over just all the things that we could do to help her labor go smoother and faster, and just kind of everything that I do to kind of educate clients. And she delivered like 2 or 3 days later. It was so beautiful. I don't know. It was just so amazing to be a part of that experience. And she did so well. It was a great, I was hoping that my first experience was going to go smoothly, just because I wanted to prove to myself that I could do this, and just to build that confidence a little bit. And thankfully it was it was not a typical first time mom birth. It went so smooth. she delivered during the day. I went home, had a full night's rest. Like, it was a picture. She didn't tear at all. Like, it was so picture perfect. And yeah, just the emotions of getting to encourage someone through one of the toughest but most beautiful times of their life was just so special. It's hard to put into words. I felt like now we're like so close as like friends. We bonded so much together too, which was so special. And yeah, it definitely, after that first birth, I was like, feels like a calling. I want to do this every day for everybody. This was so much fun and just so beautiful and emotional. And so, yeah.
One other question I have that I kind of skipped over is, do you feel like you had to prepare to give birth in the hospital? And do you feel like you had to prepare to advocate for yourself? And what did that look like?
Yeah, so I had done a lot of research on the providers in our area who are like hospital providers, because I just really wanted to give myself the best chance of having an unmedicated birth. So I went with someone that my friend had gone to, and she had unmedicated deliveries with her. And she was great. I really loved her approach. She was very, she gave a lot of informed consent, but then ultimately left the decision up to me, which I felt very comfortable with. I didn't feel like she was pushy in any way. So and she was great. She actually didn't even end up delivering my baby. She was unavailable. I think she was in a C-section. And so I had another provider from the practice who also was great. I remember one of the L&D nurses was kind of advocating for me in a way when this provider came in. And she was like, I remember hearing this in the background. She was like, she's on her side. She wants to stay on her side and deliver on her side. And he was like, oh, yeah, I love that. Let's do it. Let's have a baby. And he was cracking jokes with my husband, and he was relaxed and he was calm, and there was no sort of, I don't know, it didn't feel quite like an emergency or, I just loved getting to do my thing. And I felt I got really lucky with that experience. And I know that because I have heard other people who have hospital births who don't have that experience. But I would definitely say researching your providers ahead of time is a great idea, because everybody just has their preferences. We all do. And what they do and their opinions. And so, yeah, my providers were amazing. So yeah. What else was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say, if you or anybody else knows someone who needs a doula, I am finally certified and am taking clients. So you'll be able to find me very soon at doulasofeasternidaho.com. And I'll have an Instagram and a website up. I think it'll be Birth with M, which is close to Birth with Hope, so it might be easy to remember. But yeah, I would highly recommend having a doula if you're wanting to go unmedicated.
That was amazing. And it's very encouraging to hear, those good experiences in the hospital. Because I think so often, especially in like home birth community or natural birth community, you can hear about the negative aspects of that. So that's nice to hear that you had a positive experience with your providers. Yeah. And is there anything else that you want to say?
I think just again, like, if you're listening to this and you're on the fence, I think you should go for it. And I think you should, doing research is amazing. And I think that just knowing that you can do it, and you can do this. We were built to do this. Women have been doing this since the beginning of time. So if you want to have an unmedicated delivery, I would say go for it. Yeah.
Is there anything about your postpartum experience that you wanted to touch on, or do you feel like everything was complete?
Yes, I would say I think I was so focused on researching and preparing for my birth experience. I didn't think too much about postpartum. A few weeks before I delivered, my friend and I meal prepped like a whole bunch of frozen meals, which was so helpful. Or like, I mean, any way you do that, you can go get like Costco meals or do a meal train. There's so many ways to prepare for that. But there were just some things I didn't know about, and it's hard to know until you're experiencing it, the trials of motherhood, especially as a first-time mom. But yeah, I definitely had some struggles with nursing. That was a little bit rough off the bat. My son, I didn't know at the time, had a tongue tie. So with that comes a lot of pain and cracked, bleeding nipples and just hard. And I was determined to breastfeed, so I wasn't going to give up. But it was still really hard. And I thankfully we have a lot of resources in this area. I had used all the lactation consultant help that I had in the hospital. And I even reached out to someone here in town, who was able to really help me. But once we got his tongue tie diagnosed, we ended up getting it revised. It was really helpful. Also cranial sacral therapy was really helpful for him. And it is just in general, nursing, I feel like is such a learning curve, especially if you're a first time mom. Like it was such a new thing. So I would say if you're in that, just be patient with yourself, be gentle with yourself, do what you need to do to, reach out, find resources, because I think it is uncomfortable at the beginning. But I mean, if that continues and you're in a lot of pain, like definitely reach out to a lactation consultant, because that can be so helpful and such a life changer. And, but yeah, postpartum is tough, but it doesn't last forever. Thank goodness. It does get better. You will sleep more at some point. And yeah, life gets easier. So again, if you're in that moment, just remember this: life will get easier, and just enjoy the joys of having a little baby, because man, it goes by so fast.
Oh yeah.
My son is 2 now, and gosh, I look back at these little newborn pictures and I'm like, oh my goodness, he was so little. And I think sometimes too, when you're just so tired, it can be hard to really enjoy it, but do your best to enjoy it, because it goes by so fast. Like just so fast. It's true that the days are long, but the years are short. Like it is just the truest thing. So yeah.
All right. Well, if anyone's looking for a doula,
yes,
I'm gonna link your stuff in the comments and everything in the show notes. So
perfect.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Of course. Thanks for having me on. I'm so excited that I got to share my story. I just think that this podcast is so needed for the women in our area. So thank you for hosting.
That's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you have a birth story that you would like to share on this podcast, please reach out to me on Instagram at Birth with Hope Podcast. Bye.